upgrades.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for yet again another movie review. This is hot off the heels from M. Night Shyamalan yet again, Knock at the Cabin. Me and Lucas just got back from the screening, and we are here to talk about this in a non-spoiler capacity. Here we go. What's going on, Lucas?
Nothing much. I'm wondering why your face was the only one that went across a little banner thing. I didn't see my face at all. But it's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. You up for a knock at the cabin next time? I don't get my face on a banner sign, sir. Then you know that now.
Anywho, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get into it. So this movie kind of starts off very strange, and I'm gonna preface it like this: I did not look at any of the trailers, and I think Lucas only looked at one. So we went into this very cold. We didn't know what this was even going to be about. But movie starts off. You have these four individuals. They literally come out of the woods and meet this couple at a cabin. Initially, the little girl's out there. She's kind of just chilling. And then one of them meets her and says, "Oh, we need to kind of get in and talk with you guys about something." And, you know, Dave Bautista is huge. And he's sitting there talking to this little girl. And you're just like, what is about to go down? Because all of them have some form of weapon. And you don't really know why. You're just kind of like, this is not going to end well. And I really don't feel like we should go any further than that, because I feel like it'd be better you just going in completely blind, in my opinion. But I don't know how you want to gauge it, Lucas, as far as how much we say.
It's two things here, because what I have noticed all of a sudden is that most people who do know this film is coming out actually know the book that this is based off of.
Fascinating.
So I question at that point, like, is it much you can spoil for those people? You're spoiling things for people who, like, I knew this was an adaptation, but I didn't know much of the book.
Right.
But people who know the book are the ones who are lining up to see this movie. So I say you can't take too much away from it. I don't think it's a big surprise what's going on, because the trailer actually does say that what the point of them in that cabin is with the family. So if you see any trailer, you saw the part where they mention why they're in that cabin and the choices that the family has to make. So that is not at all a spoiler. You know that coming in the door. That's why you're here to see this film, to see if, like, why is Dave Bautista not threatening, but just being very forceful with his family all of a sudden. So, I mean, I don't think we can spoil that aspect of it, because I think everybody knows that aspect of it. So you could talk about that part of it, of the purpose of the people who get to the cabin.
Yeah. It's very fascinating because, you know, this couple, these two dads, they've got like a adopted daughter named Wynn. And of course, Wynn sees everything going on outside and she rushes in. She's like, we need to lock everything. Like, I don't know what's going on. And these two men, they have no idea what's going on. And they start to piece certain things together in their heads, like how this could be panning out. They do certain flashbacks to show who these men are as individuals, as a couple, which I thought was very fascinating. It's weird for me to say this, but this was a pretty tight film. Like, I actually was engaged pretty much most of the movie. Certain times it kind of threw me out with certain dialogue here or there. Some spotty CG here or there, but for the most part, from the beginning until the end, I was like, I don't know where this is going, and I'm very intrigued, which I'm happy to say congratulations, because I didn't, going into this movie, that's not what I thought that I was going to get at all.
This is probably the tightest movie he's done since The Visit. Because even Split, while a great film, wasn't a tight film. And you know, it's just a overall view. A tight film is just something that, like, hits you from the beginning. Like, you kind of jump in it and you know the plot. It's not much other substance going around but the main purpose of the plot. And that's how this film moves, which is a completely different turn from what we've gotten from M. Night for 99% of his movies. So to see him go this route with this film is what made it stick out a little more than most old. That's the best way to put it. That sticked out and separated from old, because I know that's the fear of this film. Is old had great trailers, and I think for people who've seen this trailer, they know like this trailer looks extremely intriguing, but you were kind of wondering, would you get tricked possibly like you did with old?
Right.
This film is extremely straightforward. It strips away some of the negatives that are known from M. Night's films, and it leaves you with the positives, and those positives will bring you to think of The Visit or Devil or things of that nature, where it's especially Devil, where the film is just so straightforward. Like,
Yeah.
you get the concept, and that's the movie, and he goes directly into it. I thought that's from the opening credits of this film, it caught me off guard because it jumped directly into the movie.
Right.
Again, unlike most M. Night films.
Yeah. I that was the other thing that I was kind of like M. Night, when I guess in certain situations like this, he can come
Mhm.
across as a pretty good director. And there's certain shots in this, especially in the cabin, where they use color orientation, which he does a really good job with color with most of his films. But it's some of the symbolisms and the shots that I
Mhm.
was like, okay, this is fascinating because I'm getting to understand where the story is unfolding naturally, as opposed to it
Mhm.
being telegraphed, or instead of using exposition or trying to trick me, it's naturally coming up. Now, there's a midway point in the film where it's left up to your interpretation, but if you're really paying attention and honing into what's happening in the dialogue, you're seeing it. But what was some of the, I guess, the things you want to talk about positive about this outside of kind of what I've been saying? Um,
It just feels like the strongest M. Night film I've seen in a while. The script is actually good here. That's been my biggest key about M. Night, is that his screenplays seem to be over bloated, and in turn, we get a film that feels that way. Here, again, this is his first, I always say his first adaptation. I am not counting The Last Airbender as anything. So, this is his first adaptation of an actual novel. And because of that, I think it stripped away the need for him to build the story completely himself. And when you take away that need, you get to appreciate that, oh, he actually is a good director. Like, I don't think I've seen an M. Night film and I thought he's a bad director. I've seen M. Night films and say he's a horrible writer. And here, when you strip that away and you just to get to focus on his direction, the movie is sharp, completely sharp. Like, granted, the performances are not the best at times, but they don't have to be. This is not the movie where you get an Oscar caliber performances, but this is a film where you get a director who the whole time you feel he's in complete control of the film. And that is what I've been waiting to see in an M. Night Shyamalan movie, is him being in complete control of the film. It reminded me of Spike Lee with Inside Man, where if you take away the element of them, both of them being these directors who writes almost everything they do, and you strip that portion away and then say, hey, I just need you to go in here and direct a film. And just like Spike did with Inside Man, I think M. Night really showed his skill with this film. It's some amazing shots. It's a shot in this film, and it's not giving away anything, where they open the cabin door up and it's just a shot directly into the wilderness. And just the way he plays with the lighting and everything, you feel like something horrible is going on, and all I'm seeing is trees. It's a beautiful shot, and that's what I think helps highlight just how talented M. Night is in this film, is that he's pulling off these amazing shots around possibly at times shaky dialogue, but you don't care because he's framing it so well.
when I thought about the focal point of us as viewers watching this couple have to go through this, we're dealing with things just like they are. They're looking at this like, I don't know who these crazy people are. I don't know what's going on. But as viewers, we're also trying to gauge who they are, right? Like the whole entire time, like, who is this couple with this little girl? and we're trying to assess that, but they play off of that really well. Like that's why I was saying I don't know if it's that it was written really well as far as the characters, but they're also leaning into who these characters are. But I feel like across the board, everybody decided to really play their role. But I was asking, did you have like a standout in this? Because I felt like the couple did a good job of going back and forth with me internalizing what's really happening, because they're having to play with everything that they're seeing. But then the four, there's also other things going on as well. But I was curious, was there any standouts for you?
The only one I could think of would be the obvious one, which would be Dave Bautista.
They, mm-hmm.
And it's just this his monotone delivery during this entire film,
Yep.
and his softness at times when he brings up certain things about himself
Yeah.
that really makes this film move. Like, it caught me off guard a little bit. Like, this is a film that I think he feels he's like in complete control of this character. As you said before, it works on so many different levels, so it's really hard at times to pick the standout. I could almost say the standout is M. Night in his direction with this project,
Yeah.
or the story in general. Which again, it's when you have a great baseline of what you need to do, and here the way they mix with us having a same-sex couple, which we don't see in a lot of films of from this genre. And when you have them and you dealing with their trauma versus them being put in an impossible situation of having to believe something that makes absolutely no sense, and still dealing with past issues that bring up other issues. It's amazing how everything is weaved together with this story. But if it's just from an acting standpoint, it will be Dave Bautista. He sticks out the most in this film.
Yeah. Yeah. He was definitely a highlight for me as well. But this again, I don't want to go too deep into it because I feel like you just going and watching this, you're gonna have your own thoughts and comments, and we want you guys to share it in the comment section below. Um, yeah, what kind of genre do you say that this is? What is the genre type for this?
From the outside looking in, a lot of people are going to believe this is a horror film.
Right,
This is not a horror film.
right,
This is a dramatic thriller. That's the that's the genre for this film. It's a dramatic thriller, and it moves like a dramatic thriller. So if you ever seen like a really good dramatic thriller, you understand like you're gonna have moments where it feels like it's action, but the action is driven by the plot. And
yeah,
that's what you get here. The action is driven by the plot. And it's not, and that doesn't mean that the action is lots of fighting, lots of no, it just means that with their words, they're pushing action forward. And that's what you get from a dramatic thriller. And that's what this film does majority of the time here. So it's definitely, again, not a horror. When most people think it's a horror movie, this is a dramatic thriller, and it leans heavy on the dramatic side.
yeah. I don't know if like when I was talking, if you heard any what I was talking about me trying to
Not a
figure out what
thing
the
I heard.
genre was, because I was trying to assess what the genre was for this, because I was like, this doesn't play like a horror, and it's not exactly a thriller. It's almost an amalgam of some other things, specifically when you go towards the third act. Because to me, it can also be like a progressive character evolution as well. Like there's certain things and themes that are happening in this that you do not suspect
Oh, I
from the beginning
mhm.
to the end of this. And in hindsight, thinking about it, I'm like, man, some characters really go through a lot of growth
Yeah.
and progression that you never would expect. And I appreciated that. I really did appreciate it. It's rough, but I really did appreciate it from a storytelling
Yeah.
standpoint.
It's a genre that most people aren't accustomed to knowing exactly what it is when they see it.
Yep.
So it's hard to pinpoint it. For me, this is very reminiscent of, and this is an old film that correlation wise, story wise, nothing alike. But just a tonal switch in the film. It was a movie with George Clooney called Michael Clayton. It came out years upon years ago. Tonally, this film and that film fits very well together. Michael Clayton is a dramatic thriller. So
Mhm.
when we were getting into this film, that's the first thing that popped in my head was, oh, okay, this is not the horror movie I thought I was walking into. This is
Right.
something completely different. And this is a genre that M. Night has fooled around at times of him leaning into this genre. And it's with films that people did not like that much. And first one is The Village, where The Village, people thought it was a horror movie. It moved like
Right.
a thriller, and then you realize it was a very straightforward drama, and it threw people off. Here,
Yeah.
he leans a little bit more into the dramatic thriller genre, and this here may be the perfect genre for
Situation.
his
Yeah.
type of direction. Like
Yeah.
this could be, and for someone who is not a fan of M. Night, I have not been a fan of his
He's not.
since
Yeah.
Signs
He's not.
at all. This here, it's so much promise in this film. Like at this point, I'm wondering, like, okay, could this be the resurgence that he thought Split was going to be? Because at this point, it's not, you're not attempting to make another sequel to a sequel. And
Right.
that's when everything fell apart for him. But if this is going to be the second or third act for some people of his career, and is of him cherry picking projects based off of pretty good, solid source material and leaning into the dramatic thriller genre, I think this act for him could be one of the best comebacks a director could ever have. He just has to stick doing films of this nature.
Right. And I am curious to see how this is going to be marketed before it's released. But I mean, it comes out this Friday. So I mean, you guys give it a chance. I mean, you've heard our review, our take on it. Shout out to the cast. It really surprised me that I actually liked this film. Let's go into letter grade from A to F. You want me to go first, or you can go first?
No, you go first, everybody.
I'm gonna give it a B or a B minus. I actually I'm really surprised. The more I think about this film, the more I like it. That's weird to say. Like normally, the more I think on films, they kind of let me down. It's like, oh, okay, the high of it and processing of it. But with this, I'm like, there are other things in here that we haven't yet to even talk about. We're not going to. We want you guys to see yourself.
Yeah.
We're keeping it completely tight-lipped. And those themes and those things are very engaging by the time you get done with this film. So that's why I want to hear your comments after you see the movie. But I rested at a B or a B minus.
Yeah, I had it at a B. Again, it's a solid film. I didn't go into this movie with any form of an expectation. I've seen the last 3 or 4 M. Night movies. At this point, he can no longer get expectations from me for anything. So I didn't have any going into this movie. But after the movie, at that point, it was interesting because I thought, wow, while it may not be the big runaway hit in theaters, but on a secondary market, the VOD market, the streaming market, I think an audience is going to catch this movie. And when you all see it, you'll understand the audience I'm talking about. I think they're going to catch this movie, and I think they're going to take this movie to places that I don't even think M. Night thought this movie could go. And I think off of repeat viewing, I think you'll like it more. I think you're going to start asking yourself more questions. Even someone who may be slightly disappointed in it the first viewing, I think when you get out your preconceived notions on what an M. Night Shyamalan movie is, and instead you watch this as a film, I think repeat viewing, you'll like it even more. So right now, to me, it's a solid B. You can't beat wow, I feel bad saying this. Great direction with with solid performances from the actors. Like that's something you can't beat. That's never a losing formula.
Yeah. Well, you heard it here first, you guys. Go and check out Knock at the Cabin. Go and check out some of our other content we've got coming up. I don't even know what some of those are right now because I'm having a brain fart. But please make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell button, and we will talk to you guys very soon. We do have content coming from Sundance that's going to be released sometime later on this weekend into the weekend, as well as some other stuff. Peace, people.
Falling out the top of the moon. I can see the skyline, 50-mile radius. It's on my timeline.